भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us pray together. Pray loudly, it is everybody's voice should be heard here. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord, who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful, may the wicked become gentle, may all creatures think of mutual welfare, may their minds be occupied with what is spiritual and abiding. May our hearts be immersed in selfless love for the Lord. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. We will begin with the song that is a poem by Swami Vivekananda, composed in the honor of Lord Buddha. Peter Travisano, a wonderful musician, he will lead the prayer, the song.
And the volume on the prayer was really good. We can maintain that on the song, that would be even better. The sun goes down, its crimson rays light up the dying day. A startled glance I throw behind and count my triumph shame. No one but me to blame. Each day my life I make or mar. Each day begets its kind. Good, good, bad, bad, the tide once set. No one can stop or stem. No one but me to blame. I am my own embodied past. Therein the plan was made. The will, the thought, to that conform. To that the outer frame. No one but me to blame. Love comes reflected back as love. Hate breeds the more fierce hate. They meet their measures, lay on me. Through life and death their claim. No one but me to blame. I cast all fear and vain remorse. I feel my karma sway. I face the ghost my deeds have raised. Joy, sorrow, censure, fame. No one but me to blame. Good, bad, love, hate, and pleasure, pain. forever linked go. I dream of pleasure without pain. It never, never came. No one but me to blame. I give up hate, I give up love. My thirst for life is gone. Eternal death is what I want. Nirvanam goes life flame. No one is left to blame. One only man, one only God, one ever perfect soul, one only sage who ever scorned the dark and dubious ways, one only man who dared think and dared show the goal that death is curse and so is life, and best when stops to be. Om Namo Bhagavate Sambuddhaya.
Thank you, dear Peter. Let us now chant the 3 salutations of Buddha together. Just repeat after me. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. I take refuge in Lord Buddha. I take refuge in the doctrine, Dhamma, proclaimed by him, and I take refuge in the succession of the implementation of these teachings through the organization, the Sangha. Dear friends, Buddha, whom Swami Vivekananda considered to be the greatest person who lived in a rational way, who went all the way to the conclusion that his reason can take him to, followed the reason as far as it can take. So his teachings were very practical. In fact, another statement of Vivekananda is that he whipped people into practice. People otherwise, they just remain in some doctrinal sublime ivory tower and think that they are religious. But one has to practice, get into that active mode of practice. So, one aspect that we are going to study about Buddha today is that his compassion, karuna. It is actually, we consider Buddha to be incarnation of God, and the idea is that God takes human form out of compassion. The material of which the incarnation of God is made is compassion. So the Buddha is also made of compassion. And what is compassion? Again, compassion is of two types. One, when you see this suffering, just it is a cognitive faculty that you see the suffering, but that doesn't inspire you to do something to alleviate the suffering of others. So that is the second kind of compassion. One is the only you see the suffering and you may feel bad about it, but that doesn't make you actively do something or feel enough to find the actual way to remove these sufferings. So, therefore, that kind of compassion is where you do not act on it, is one kind. There is the active compassion, dynamic compassion. It doesn't stop at just taking cognizance of sufferings, but actively finds out the way, the practical way by which these sufferings can be alleviated and act on it. So this is how we see that the sufferings, when seen, they give different reactions to different people. Some feel compassion, some feel it intensely enough and they are wise to see the way out. There are, of course, some others who don't feel any sense of compassion, rares, and then there are still rare who see the suffering of others and rejoice in it. So it is the Buddha state is about this way to find the state which is free from sufferings. And we remember this is rooted in his teachings of what is this suffering, the truth of suffering. The religion of Buddha, the teachings of Buddha is summarized in 4 noble truths. And the first of them is the suffering truth, dukkha ariya satyam, the noble truth about suffering. And then it is elaborated there. It has a practical, how this idea of suffering struck him. The story, as you know, that he saw a very sick man, an old man, and a corpse being carried, a dead person. So, seeing this, he saw that this is going to happen to me. Each of these things I am subject to each of these things. Not only me, everyone is subject to these things. He felt this truth pinchingly, that we kind of know it, but we really do not see that it is how it is going to affect me too. It is difficult to know, people have many problems. Oh, but it is you also are in the same boat. It is hard to feel that I too am subject to it. That is the idea that Buddha saw, that I am also subject to it and everyone is subject to it. It is, he not only intellectually understood it but actually felt it. So, and he saw what is this suffering. Second noble truth is that, there is a cause of suffering. Means there is a hope, that cause is of suffering. The other day, one person who comes to do some carpentry work here was telling that he will have some investigation and he hopes that nothing will be found there, nothing harmful will be found there. I said, yes, if nothing is there, that is good. But the worst thing is something is there and is not found. It is, yeah. So if something is there, it should be found. If nothing is there, that's a good news. But if something is there and is not found, then that's not good news. So the diagnosis has to be done to find out really what is there. And then that, when you know that, now you can find the way to remove it. So diagnosis is kind of half the cure. But there are some problems which cannot be cured. Even if you know that this is this, diagnosis is there, but there is no cure for many of such things. So, well, bear with it, live with it. That is the answer, that there is no cure. Buddha saw that the suffering has a cause. Not only that, there is the remedy for that cause. That cause can be removed. That is the third noble truth. And then the fourth is that there is a practical way to follow to remove this cause of the suffering. Everybody can just, go on that path. It is a chartered path. So just like you use your Google Maps or GPS to go to some place, it is chartered. You just look at it and you go, or just listen to it, that turn left, turn right, and so forth, and you arrive at the destination. So there is this practical guidance for which you by using that you arrive at the solution practically. So this, he saw that suffering, and there is in his teaching, the suffering is classified at 3 levels. One is that what is obvious, like somebody is sick and therefore is in terrible discomfiture, is down with lot of fever and has lot of pain. The suffering is obvious there. So it is, and so there is one way by which it can be alleviated, give some medications, and then that suffering will go away. It is the obvious suffering, dukkha dukkham. Then there is something that is not seen as suffering, parinama dukkha. In effect it is suffering. That it is, the person may not be seen suffering, rather enjoying, but then that leads to suffering because of impermanence of things. Everything is subject to disintegration. So that is how what you think as not suffering, oh, I am doing fine, I have a wonderful job, and all these things are going on very well, all nice, hunky-dory. But things, they change. They are subject to disintegration. You cannot overcome death, you can overcome disease. But, everybody has to die when it is. So, and even this living is just going towards the certain death. So you see that this is called in effect it is suffering. It is not seen now as suffering, but after a while, like this seeds, you don't see anything right now, but when they germinate and then you see the sprouts coming out, then you know that it is this seed, it is suffering that comes out. All that gets called as pleasure, it comes out later as suffering, as the song that we were singing. as Vivekananda's poem, that good, bad, pleasure, pain, they are linked together. Just as a coin has these two faces, it is, you cannot just say, give me just one side of the coin. It has, you take both. So it is both together. You take pleasure and then the pain comes, for free. It has to come. There is no alternative to that. That is being rational, friends. We call ourselves rational, but do not dare to be rational. We think that it will be pleasant like this. The pleasantries will continue. No, friends. It is not going to be like that. The suffering has to come. So this is the cause. And the cause has been traced by Buddha. That everything that is just impermanent, disintegrating, all that comes together again gets into disintegration and becomes different pieces. There is no stability. This suffering, who is suffering? This I, limited I, this limitation of I that we consider to be real, and then that brings us the craving. Tanha, the Pali word for that is tanha, craving. And if that limited I is there, you cannot remove the craving. Always craving for something. It doesn't go away till this limited I is there. Vedanta gives a nice idea about it, that why is this suffering? Why is this craving? The craving is because you don't like this division, I and the world. This division is not real. And so all our desires are to, appropriate what is called world to I, become one, to wipe away this fictitious division between I and world. That division is unreal. So this is the cause. See that everything therefore is suffering, whether it is manifest suffering or unmanifest suffering. Everybody, if you do not die a premature death, has to become old. And then, there are the problems associated with old age. However you try to, push them down, they are like the elephant in the room. You cannot just wish them away. One gentleman I know, he was very energetic and was always running about saying, hey, I can do that. And then became old. He is actually probably same age as I am. And then he told me, Swami, don't become old. As if it is in anybody's power. Nobody wishes that, let me become old. No, but that is how we all, each of us, is moving towards. So it is becoming old and it is suffering. You don't want to be that, but you become that. So all this suffering is because there is this cause, that tanha, that craving is there. That craving is the cause of all suffering, and this craving is because of this fictitious sense of I as separate from you, separate from others. We all feel it very strongly. Like that young man sitting there in front of me, Advaita. His name is non-dual, but he still knows that I am different from my sister who is sitting there. I and my sister are not same. I am in this grade, my sister is in that grade. Yeah, it is wonderful. My sister dances, I don't, and so forth, So we each have a sense of separate I, and that is the cause of suffering. We do not realize this and therefore hold on to this separate I. So that is called the suffering as the effect. And there is then another suffering that also was mentioned in this song of Vivekananda, that, well, there is no freedom. That is another suffering. I want to do something, but I do not have the freedom to do it. A big problem. We are bound by what is called karma. Whatever is done in the past, well, you have to go through the effects of that. There is no way to change that course. You can change your actions now conscientiously to take a different path, but whatever has been done has been done. It is now its effects are going to be there. As that song said, that I am my own incarnate past, therein the plan was made. So the plan was made there. Now it is just you are putting lumber and mortar and whatever into that plan. So the plan is there. There is no way to run away from that. So even when somebody understands that this is not pleasure at all, but then there are the past impressions, even though you are not feeling pleasure, in fact you are aware that it is going to bring lot of pain, still you do not have freedom to get away from that. You may give it a try. That itself becomes a good action on your part, a new action. So action to become free of this law. But as such, all of us have to undergo this suffering, lack of freedom. And again, this lack of freedom also is connected with this limited I. This limited I is this infinite consciousness tied to a limited body and mind. The body and mind is limited, so it is imprisoned in this. So it is this imprisonment. There is that poem of that Browning, I think, that this splendor, imprisoned splendor, needs to be liberated. We all have that splendor that needs to find liberation. It is imprisoned. So it is this. We are all caught in this prison. So this is the problem, is this holding on to this little separate I, which therefore Buddha says it doesn't exist. People wrongly think that Buddha said there is no Atman, not in the sense of Vedantic all-pervading Atman. What is meant is that this little individual is only an appearance. It is nothing more than that. So that has to be removed. So the Buddha's compassion is of that kind. All these three levels of suffering, they have to be, of course, a compassionate person who feels this karuna. The Sanskrit word for that is karuna. Compassion should not mean that it is you are just balming your pain, like Eric Fromm, a psychologist from America, says that when people go to do various charities, they are actually not prompted by the spirit of doing good, but they feel that it is the pain, that okay, that it is not all good, so let me give something in charity. It is actually trying to balm, he uses that word, trying to balm one's own wounds. So it is like that. So this, whenever you see something suffering, see what you can do most about it. That is what Buddha did. But there is the more important thing is see the cause. So that is being if the cause is there, the suffering is sure to return. There is no again escape from that. He found the way beyond suffering by seeing the truth. By seeing the truth. And so he saw that by going what is called nirvana. Nirvana means there is now no bondage. No bondage of this limited I. So going beyond all bondage, he saw this truth, and that truth, he saw that there is no suffering then, all suffering is gone. And then he remained in that state, and then thought after a few days that shall I give this wisdom to others? And he saw that there is nobody ready for it. Nobody seems to be willing to accept this. They somehow want to continue running after pleasures and reach the suffering. That is the problem, is that you go to catch pleasures, and nobody conscientiously thinks that let me go and hug suffering. You go for what? For getting pleasures. But what one ends up in getting is suffering. So people want to keep on doing that kind of exercise without thinking. They change the object. That, oh, this attire, I thought this nice dress would bring a lot of pleasure. But then it didn't. So you think now it is another dress will bring it. So they go to do like that till their wardrobe has no space to keep things, so many dresses. It is so it is like that we change the object. That this object is not going to bring me happiness, I understood. But that doesn't mean there is no happiness. Let me go to that other object. That will bring me happiness. So it goes on in this way. There is nobody wants to see the truth that there is what you call happiness is just suffering that you are getting. Only name for that is happiness. The label is there because you were going after happiness, and then what it changed the label when you got it, called suffering. So it is like that the situation. So nobody wants to hear the truth. And so he was going to just give up the body. And but what happened was, in his vision, he saw a lake, very big lake, and sun was just rising. And there were a lot of lotuses he saw. Some are still deep underwater. Some are already up and bloomed. And there were some who were just coming up on the water, they were not blooming. So, whom the sun's rays can help, those lotuses which are already in bloom, sun doesn't have to do anything to them. Those which are buried deep in water, the sun's rays will not get there, and they will not be helped by that. But there are a few who are eager to get this, the rays of the sun. So that told him that there are a few who are ready to get this doctrine, and through that, at various level, it will get spread. So that is how he saw this truth, and his compassion worked in this way. The compassion also has these gradations. One is the regular compassion that is limited to I and mine. If somebody is sick, I don't care much unless is my someone, is my child. Then the compassion gets awakened. It is the for my kith and kin, where you feel that is it. Otherwise we don't care much about it. We don't do much about it. We have so much news of sufferings. There is so much violence. Just a few days back in Texas, there were so many school children got shot, and we feel sad about it. But imagine, a mother whose child has died in that suffering, and then the compassion that mother's some relative would be feeling for that lady, that is of a different dimension. So it is the individual, that is one kind of compassion. It is important to have that also. There are some who are so stone-hearted that even for their own kith and kin they don't feel any sense of compassion. But then there is the what in Buddhist literature is called aparimeya karuna. That is immeasurable compassion. It is spread to everyone. It is not limited to only some individuals, but it is for all. So, because all are suffering, and so the one like Buddha, who has no particular sense of I left, now sees everybody as one's own. And then that is a feeling of suffering of others is very intense. You are automatically then like your own suffering. It is the sufferings of everybody is seen as your own suffering. This is also in Vedanta, you see these ideas like Bhagavad Gita says, Atmopamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadiva dukkham sa yogi paramo mataha. That is the greatest yogi who sees that the same pleasures or pain as not of others but my own. All of them, anywhere it may be happening, they are seen as my own, because that individual little I has completely disappeared. And therefore, you can feel that sense of compassion. There is the word karuna, there is another word in Sanskrit called sahanubhuti. Sahanubhuti means the experiencing as it were together, same experience together. It is oneness experienced. So they like, suppose my one hand is hurt, not only that hand is feeling, the whole body is feeling, and then the other hand doesn't have to be told, hey, why don't you go and serve this hand, why don't you apply ointment. It is a spontaneous action because of the feeling of this oneness. There is no division there. So this is the aparimeya, means immeasurable. But then Buddha's was called Mahakaruna, the great compassion, by not excluding anybody and giving the message of how one can get liberated. He exhorted everybody to be practical. One has to have this not only some idea that it is there is suffering and I will do something and it will go away. Many of us have this idea that, okay, I am doing this Satyanarayan Puja, some worship. Why? Because then there will be no such suffering. Have you tried to see what connection is between them? You didn't try to find out why doing some ritual like that will take out suffering. Or let me do this some mantra and that will take away all the suffering. Somebody tells you, okay, do this Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Nothing wrong in the mantra, but do you know how it will take away your sufferings? It is not, don't believe in such ideas. And we call ourselves rational beings, but it is only talking, that I am a rational being. Our actions are most irrational. So it is, one has to say that Buddha did not tell any such things. Do good. It will see that if you do good, there will be good result out of it. Cause and effect are connected. So do that. But remember that you have to go deeper in doing it. Not only on the superficial plane. Rationally, one understands that what gets called as pleasure is actually pain with another name, that's all. So one has to be focused on this, that, well, you have to give knowledge of the truth. That will take out the suffering. It is good to give some, person is hungry, give some food to that person to eat. Excellent. Buddha therefore made these arrangements too and told all his disciples that he is compassionate at all levels. It is not that what is the use of, even if you eat, you will still have suffering. Oh, but at least have food, let that level be, pain at that level be alleviated. If you are sick, okay, take some medications. At that level, the suffering will go away. And then you will be able to see how the sufferings have the deeper levels. So therefore he told all the Sangha, the monastic brotherhood or sisterhood, that, well, go and serve people. Serve people. Vivekananda therefore calls him the greatest karma yogi. in that beautiful book of karma, on Karma Yoga, he presents the model after telling that how the Karma Yoga is to be practiced, various aspects of it, and the symbolism of action, all that has been so thoroughly, so beautifully narrated. And now you have to give an example that here you can find it all. Where is that example? Buddha. He turns to Buddha. That look at this. He never cared for any god, goddesses. Never. He never did anything that, okay, offer candle or offer incense, offer flower or food. No. It is just do good to all human beings or whosoever is, all beings. And do as much good as you can in every possible way at all different levels. So there is this doing good, and that leads gradually to the higher levels of knowledge also. There is this very nice incident in his life narrated in what is called Dhaniya Suttam. In Sutta Nipad it comes that Dhaniya Suttam. Swami Vivekananda has quoted it, many other such literature on Buddha quote this. A nice story actually. Buddha was walking on his path, a hermit with nothing, no personal possession at all, and while walking it became kind of dark, and in that rain started very strong, this storm and rain started lashing. Buddha stood to protect himself a little bit from that storm, and just by the side of the wall of a rich farmer. It is Dhaniya, means he had lot of these cattle with him. So he was living there. Buddha just was reclining on that wall to protect himself from the terrible rains and storm. And now this man inside got an opportunity to tease him. He was not seeing the sufferings there. He saw that, look, if you become like that, a hermit like that, what happens? He says to Buddha, not exactly to Buddha but to the storm, hey storm, my greenery is full, my house is roof is there and everything is fine, so you can keep on lashing as much as you want to lash, keep on raining. Buddha heard and replied, my senses are calm, my mind is under control, and so, oh rain, lash as much as you like to lash. That man again from inside says, my cattle is safe, my family is safe, they have good shelter, and all provisions are there. So, rain, keep on lashing as much as you want to. No problem for me. Buddha again replied, I have no enmity with anybody. I have no craving for anything. And so, rain, keep on lashing as much as you want. Now this is a conversation was going on, but where Buddha out of compassion was giving the lesson. That man wanted to ridicule Buddha, but Buddha was not ridiculing him, was showing that how the real safety in life can come, real trouble-free life can come to you. It is by having this state, and that is compassion of Buddha, at that level. This knowledge gets transmitted, and this man then opens the door and took refuge in Buddha's teachings. So this is how, the removal of suffering doesn't necessarily mean only superficially doing something. It is at every level. There is this, there is the another story about him, that there are those some people like doing something ritualistic, so-called religion, and to get something out of it. But when Buddha asked them that, do you know anybody who got it, what they wanted by doing it? He said, no. And then he gave an example, nice example, that suppose you have a disease, and then I tell you that, okay, please take this medicine, it will cure you. And if you ask me that, have you been cured by this medicine? No. Has your father or grandfather got cured by this medicine? No. Do you know anybody who is cured by this medicine? No. Then are you likely to take that medicine? No. Just because my 4 generations have been doing this worship, I do. Is it rational that even those 4 generations were doing because their these earlier generations were doing that? Is there any rationality in that? No, he said, see, there is the suffering. Buddha told those people that, oh, this is the suffering, do remove this, and then you will see the truth. So this is how he proceeded to give this doctrine of dharma and sangha, that Buddha is not a person. He rejected all personal glorification. That Ananda, his favorite disciple, started glorifying him. That, oh, there had never been anybody like you, and there is nobody like you, and there won't be anybody like you. So you are the unique. So Buddha smiled and said, that shows that your statement shows that you already know all those previous people that came before me, isn't it? And no, sorry. And you know everybody who is now. And not only that, you are knowing people coming in the future as well. And then Ananda said, no, out of respect, out of reverence for you, I was just telling it. He said, remember that I was an ordinary person, born Siddhartha, but I practiced this, I understood this, and therefore, after rejecting Hatavya, he said, whatever is worth rejecting, I rejected, and whatever is to be retained, I retained. And thus, having done that, I am called Buddha, the wise one, the awakened one. So, whosoever does it, gets it. Whosoever, that person gets the name of Buddha. So each of us can become Buddha. There is not that only one person. In fact, all of us have this capability to become Buddha that we have to exercise. And compassionate Buddha, there is this statues of compassionate Buddha. It is that it has a female form. quinion. What is it called? It is this coin. Coin. I can't pronounce that properly. Coin. It is a female form of Buddha. Coin. Coin. Okay, coin. Okay, coin. So it is coin. We have some image like that, very nice coin. So it is the compassion. You see the compassion incarnate there. It is so, and that compassion, let that make us feel in our heart that the teachings of Buddha, whereby we will also feel that spirit of compassion. Becoming compassionate is the way to attain Buddhahood, because that makes our life controlled, that makes us unselfish, that makes us go beyond our limited self. Already you can see this, that when you feel compassion for other, it is then at one level your I and that person's I, they have become one, so to say. So when you practice this compassion, it is a practical message. So when we practice it, our little I goes away and we become Buddhas. So thank you, friends. So if you have any questions, you can think about this message and ask. Is there any question? No question today. Oh yes, Peter has a question. Oh.
You touched on Buddha's views on the Atman, and I just wondered if you could elaborate on that a little bit. Some people say that he did not accept that.
It is, as I mentioned, yes, Buddha's view about the Atman or God. There are variations in different contexts, that Buddha did not accept God, he did not accept self. That is, he never said that. He did not assert, he did not deny, because there is no point in that. It is just intellectual assent or rejection. What does it matter? You may accept or you may reject. It doesn't do any good to you. So therefore, don't worry about it. Do good in your life. That's it. Why worry about this? He did not want to waste our energies in that kind of unnecessarily intellectual discussions. They do not lead anywhere. So he did not reject the idea of the self. What he deliberately, clearly rejected was the permanence of this limited I. That just like all these things that you see are impermanent, this little I is also impermanent. It doesn't have even the existence that the other material particles have, because they, at least for some time, they are. This is just an illusion generated by that movement. It was given as an example, like a torch is moved in a circle. Then you see a lighted circle. Now, is that lighted circle really there? It never was there. It is just a visual, this deception. So, in that sense, this I is not there. It is, in Vedanta, the terminology, it is called the ego is not there. So that is what is called I there. But That doesn't mean he rejected the existence of God or Atman. He did not say any word about it. He refused to get into this controversy. One argument will lead to another argument, will lead to why don't just whatever you see, try to do that. That's it. Yeah. Any other question? Oh, this Abhishek is there.
Maharaj, in that case, did he attain realization? Because if he was not bothered by those things, once in my previous questions to you, you said that, yeah, doing well to others is good at that level, but that may not lead to realization because you have to do, I think, work dispassionately, you have to help others. And through that, you have to help by looking at God, like attaining to the consciousness. But if Buddha didn't do like that, did he attain that consciousness?
He already had that. That is how his teachings came. That was the source of his teachings. That it is, he had attained that stage beyond all differentiation. So what he did was out of that highest compassion of feeling oneness with everything. So, but if you are not feeling it at whatever level you are feeling the suffering of others, try to alleviate those sufferings. So that is then a path for you. It is, and try to do it in a detached way. Gradually you understand that there is nothing absolute good. Every good has something bad associated with it. Like somebody brings out a great antibiotic that will kill all the different types of germs because of which people get diseases. So has it done good or bad? Has that inventor did good or bad? Well, to some level it is good. That because of that medication many lives got saved. Will the bacteria agree with that statement? The bacteria will say that is weapon of mass destruction for them, you see. Not a good, this fellow is terrible, very cruel, massacred all of us. So, good or bad depends on where there is nothing like absolute good thing. There is something bad also associated with it. So, thus you have to go beyond that. That is what is meant by learning to work with a detached spirit. Yeah. Yes, there is now that. I thought there is no question today, but that Peter asked and then others got inspired. You see, that is how Buddha's teachings also spread, you know. One person puts them in practice, then other also person gets inspired to do that. Okay.
Maharaj, you
Please.
brought up the topic about the school shooting, which is generally happening in the recent past. In that context, from kindness perspective, I may feel for what those parents are going through, but that does not alleviate their pain in any way. And I am not in a position to change the society setup or anything to stop this in the future. Then what is my role in spreading any amount of peace, if at all anything? What is my job?
Well, very good question, you know. It is not a good question in the American way of saying. Good question in America means there is no answer to it. It is. Yesterday I was asking somebody, well, is that procession going to start from here or from there? And that girl there said, that's a good question. Means I don't know the answer. Not in that sense. It is when you feel it, then it becomes, you know, the knowledge that the person who is suffering gets it that that suffering is universal. It is. Let me tell you an incident how the suffering can be mitigated at that level. That if I am suffering with something, if I am shown that not only me, because if I alone am suffering and not others, then my suffering gets intensified. I am singled out, as it were. But everybody has to suffer. Everybody has to suffer. Our one this contractor charged something. Oh, this is the bill. Hey, what is this bill for? Then he said, no, this is to be paid by everyone. Everybody, when we do this work, everybody has to pay that. I said, okay, if everybody has to pay, my suffering got reduced by everybody. So the idea of universality, suffering is universal. Not only you, but others also are suffering. This reduces the sharpness, the edge of that suffering. Then when you see that, can you get rid of it? No, either this suffering or that suffering will be there. So suffering is, it is inevitable. Suffering at this level, if you have I, then it has to suffer. Suffering is inevitable. And then the third thing is, it is also part of the impermanent world. It goes away. No suffering remains too long. It is also impermanent. So you feel the pain for some time, and then it gradually goes away. Like one doctor told that the patient that, oh, this is giving so much pain and all. He said, okay, just take this for 3 days. He asked, will that take away the suffering? Will that take away the pain? No, you will get used to it. So that is, you get used to it. It is the impermanence of things, No pleasure is permanent, no pain also is permanent. It also goes away. So that is, that knowledge is to be felt and imparted. You cannot say that the gun violence has to stop. Well, you can try that as far as possible. When you have a chance to vote about that, okay, I don't want gun violence. You can do that. But that doesn't mean instead of using the gun, some bombs will be used, who knows, It is where there are strict gun laws, not that the violence is completely absent there. There are certain other things also. So think what you can do and do that. It is not that we have remedy for each and everything in the world. Superficial remedies are not there. But that feel, that identity, and then see the cause, that this is the cause of it. And thus you can go beyond that. So your going beyond that becomes infectious, as it were. Others also can see it. That is why Buddha's finding the way makes so many millions of people find the way through that. Yeah. Any question up there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There is one web question from Shubha.
Yes, Shubha.
Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam.
Swami Vivekananda has said on Buddha, all my life I have been very fond of Buddha, but
Yes.
not of his doctrine. Where was the philosophical difference that Vivekananda had on Buddhism?
Yes, that he has deliberated on that, that when you take away all that people, the mistake made was, and I am quoting not word by exactly verbatim, but he said that he thought that everybody is at the level of Upanishads. And so they will understand this and implement this, but people needed something to support. I was reading for just to prepare myself for this today's lecture. It's a nice book on the compassion in different religions, and one article is by a Buddhist teacher, I forgot, Rinpoche, yeah. But in that he says, now the Buddha's doctrine is gone. Dhamma is gone. There is no Dhamma. What we have are the innumerable statues of Buddhas. It is Buddha preached that no statues, no image worship. No image worship. Whose images are maximum in the world now? Buddha's images. And big, huge images. So it is, that was the mistake. Swamiji therefore does not agree with that because he, on this point only, that he took away from those who are not at the level of the Upanishadic understanding, he took away whatever they had. And that thus became the cause of the degradation of the doctrine. So, Buddha's doctrine. So that is when he says, I don't agree with his doctrine, it is in this limited sense. Yeah. So let me conclude with the closing prayers. Oh, can you give me the June flyer? Is it here? There is only May, I think, and there is no Sunday anymore in this May month, so I have to tell you about what is the. But the Tuesday, Friday lectures will go on as usual at 7:30 p.m. Tuesday the topic is Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, and on Fridays it is Srimad Bhagavatam. And there is the retreat coming up on June 18th. Swami Tyagananda will be giving that retreat, and one has to register to attend that retreat. So you can have that retreat registration at a concessional rate till June 3rd. You get a big 33% discount on that. So it is, instead of $30, you get it to $20. So 1/3 is taken out. So, but that is up to June 3rd only. Then, what is this topic? Next Sunday, June 5, I am going to talk about, the topic is miracles. So miracles is the topic. Let me see what miracle comes up. So let me conclude with the closing prayers, and then there will be arati and there will be soup supper. Is there soup supper, Adi? Okay. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. peace, peace, peace be unto all.
Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Ceaseless Lord, assuming human form. Ceaseless Lord, assuming human form. Transcendent yet filled with God. You free us from the stain of sin and ornament our world. Consciousness is your form. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Your eyes always purified by knowledge. Looking at them, illusion is gone. Ocean of shining love and feeling, ever inebriated in your infinite love. Your feet always dear to your devotees. Your feet always dear to your devotees. Form our boat to cross this world. Reveal to us as God incarnate and the Lord of all things, helping us join with you. Your mind's always set in the divine light. Your mind's always set in the divine light. This we can see through your grace. Destroyer of worldly sorrow and compassion so infinite is your word. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance. Your lives offered for the world's deliverance, saving us from darkness and fear. Renouncer of all lust and lucre, therefore you were always spurning sensual life. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Lord of monks, you are the best of men. Grant to us pure love for you. You're fearless and you're free from doubting, with your mind very firmly resolved. Causeless refuge of your devotees. Causeless refuge of your devotees. Renouncing caste and birth. Our treasure is your holy feet, which take us very soon across this puddle of life. You give love and light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Greetings to you, O Lord, beyond both speech and mind. Yet you are the basis of both. O Lord, yet you are the basis of both. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Great light of all lights, blazing in the heart's gate. Darkness is destroyed by your light. Oh Lord, darkness is destroyed by your light. Langa Ranga Bhanga, these are all the sons of Vedanta. Langa Ranga Bhanga, these are all the sons of Vedanta. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Spiritual songs devotees are singing for your worship divine. Jaya Jaya for your worship divine. Haru Haru for your worship divine. Shiva Shiva for your worship divine. Breaker of all our worldly bondage and adored by all, we adore you too. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Auspicious and blessed graciousness sublime, all noble ends you gave to us, granting us refuge, all seeing glory. O Mother Divine, our love creation, preservation, is for you.
Swami.